Our next speaker absolutely loves his job at the Swiss Federal Institute for Aquatic Science and Technology. Great. And he also has a beautiful wife and a 2-year-old son. And I guess, you know, when you've got a baby like I do, mine's just sitting there in the audience, you want to ask yourself, why are 780,000 children a year still dying of diarrheal diseases, so diarrhea-related diseases? And so, please welcome Tim Julian, to explain it to us.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you for the nice introduction, and thank you to the organizers, Natasha and Joel, for inviting me here today. This is hopefully, or maybe the last talk about shit, but it's also a call to action. I'm talking about my favorite topic, diarrhea, and I want you all to be involved today too. So I'm going to ask you to remember to take a quiz at the end, and I'm giving you the answers up front. The first answer is more than 500,000, and the second answer is do, talk, give. But first, I want you to think about your last bowel movement. Think about what you saw. Now, if you had a type 3 or a type 4, variably described as a sausage, a cracked or soft sausage, that's good. But if you're type 7, you have liquid consistency with no solid pieces, and in particular, if you have this 3 or more times in 24 hours, then a scientist would come to your home and tell you you have diarrhea. And then, if you're like me, you're wondering, well, how did I get diarrhea? What are the causes of diarrhea? And so we know from a number of different studies the main causes of diarrhea, and they're mostly pathogens. They're things like bacteria or viruses, protozoa, and even helminths, worms, intestinal worms. Of course, other things can cause diarrhea as well, food allergies and intolerance, side effects to different chemicals. And then your next question might be, well, so what? Why is this person talking to me about diarrhea? It's not a big deal. I get better, everything's okay. But if you're a child under 5, living in low-resource settings, then diarrhea, particularly recurrent diarrhea, can have dramatic consequences on your long-term well-being. You can suffer from malnutrition, stunting or decreased growth relative to what should happen for someone your age, cognitive function deficiencies, which can lead to economic productivity losses, and most tragically, more than 500,000 children die every year due to diarrheal disease. And another tragedy, the second tragedy about this, and this is Aisha and her son Abdul in Sierra Leone. Another tragedy about this is largely determined by where you are. Your risk of diarrheal disease is largely determined by where you live. Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia face disproportionate burden of diarrheal disease. And the last and final tragedy, in my personal opinion, is that we can fix this. We know how this works. We know why this happens. And it happens because there's inadequate access to water, clean, safe water, inadequate access to hygiene and sanitation, inadequate nutrition, and inadequate access to health care. And so now this is the moment where I pause and I ask you, is this okay? And are we okay with this as a society? And if we're not okay, and I don't think we're okay, then we have to do something about it. And what we're doing in our research group is we're the Pathogens in Human Health Research Group at ALOG. And we study enteric infectious disease. We look at who's sick and how it moves, how those pathogens move through the environment, how animals bring it into the environment, and how it moves in soil and water, and how people, in particular children, are exposed. And we use what's called the F diagram. It's a conceptual model of the transmission of infectious disease from feces to different environmental reservoirs and to a susceptible host. And we also look at the impact of interventions like water, hand washing, and sanitation, and how they can help improve the issue and improve the lives for everybody. And so now this is where I bring you to the second quiz question, is what should you do? And if you're a scientist, then by all means come to AVOG, come work in our research group, we'd love to have you. But for the rest of us, it's the answer to the second quiz question. We can do something for ourselves, we can talk about it, and we can give. And what do I mean by do something? When we get diarrheal disease, we become nodes in an infectious disease network. And we need to stop ourselves from transmitting. And how do we do that? Hand wash. Everybody should be washing their hands. And you need to protect the food and the water that you eat and drink, especially when you're in areas at high risk. The second thing is we need to talk about the issue. We should be able to openly talk about this through our social networks, through talking about it over dinner, and we need to amplify the voices of the experts in this field, like some of those listed there. And finally, we can give to the organizations that are doing the most to combat this. Organizations like MSF, Partners in Health, ICD-DRB, and PATH. These are great organizations, and we can all leverage our financial resources to give when we can. So finally, I'm going to bring you to the last part, which I mentioned at the beginning, which is the quiz. Maybe in 5 seconds we can all shout out the answers. How many children die every year from diarrheal disease? And what can we do about it? That's great. Thank you all very much for